these are responses that the fire department is getting alarms on. I think I included pages of the ordinance at the end of that. And one of the things the ordinance, basically these are false alarms, okay?
Yep.
That's maybe there's a little smoke issue. I don't think very often
Just on the one that I noted was the only time we ever did anything.
had a fire.
All the rest were
Okay.
put
So
on an
these,
alarm, we got up
But they're
there.
not all false alarms though.
They are if we're not doing anything.
Well, if there's actual smoke, I wouldn't consider that a false alarm.
But a damper not being opened in a room is a false.
Still not a false alarm because there was a,
Their alarm
technically, that's a valid alarm, the alarm worked.
the alarm, yes, the alarm worked, no question about it.
Right.
Okay.
I would-
Can't disagree with
Right.
that.
False alarms if it goes off for no reason at all.
Sunday mornings when they set up their buffet under the alarm,
It's
under the detector head,
It's
that's stupidity.
I know, but it's still steam that's setting it off.
It's a false alarm
Okay,
because there's no reason for it to be there.
we're past that.
Yeah.
We're working on another little issue here. So the concern of the department is what we've heard right along. You don't have guys enough to respond to real situations. How do we try to manage some of these issues, alarms that really aren't a big issue, and the problem could be rectified, either by moving heads or by a little more attention to closing a damper or opening a damper, or you have the smoker set up for the hot dogs in the morning. Or
Particularly
whatever.
multiple alarm for
Right.
the same facility.
Correct.
Well, the front page shows 3 different, West Mountain Inn, Arlington Inn, and Hill Farm.
Right,
Okay.
right.
But if you look at the ordinance,
But I had a false alarm myself, let's do it.
well, it's repeat, okay? If you
Okay.
only have 1, you're good.
Okay.
If you have more than 3, then you fall under what is considered nuisance instances in the
Malicious incident?
no, they'd be a nuisance. Way down
Nuisance, got it,
south.
I got it.
Okay?
So these aren't 911 calls, these are calls that you get on
They are
the radio.
They're
Oh, they are.
911
They are
calls through an alarm company.
So this is an automatic alarm system sending an alarm signal to the central
The dispatcher.
station, which dispatches through the PSAP to the fire department. It is not an individual dialing 911 saying, I think there's a problem in my house.
Burning bacon on the grill should not be, fire department should not be dispatched to that.
So I think the intent of this discussion, at least my intent on it, is to, as Jamie has brought out, some of these things can be corrected. That's sort of the issue, and to keep going to the same place for the same time, same thing, over and over and over, takes up their time, takes up equipment time, takes up a lot of things that
Yep.
they shouldn't be dealing with. So my suggestion, and this is, we can kick it around here, as far as the ordinance goes, that is a violation of the ordinance. There is a fee schedule that we can, if we so wish, charge a fee for that. Okay? Which can be $400 for the first, to drive up there, can be a $400 fee. That's the way the ordinance is written, and then it increases after that.
So on the last page, I'm just taking-
Yeah,
Okay.
way on the last page. So my thought would be, the board is the one responsible for enforcing the ordinance. It's not the fire department, it's the board. So we write a letter to each one of these organizations and say, hey,
From here on out.
please consider
Straighten it out.
looking at these problems, because in the future, there could be a fee attached to the guys coming up there for something that's happened time and time and time again. Now, as everybody said, if there's smoke, if there's fire,
But this
You
is
gotta
when
go.
it isn't
You're gonna
somebody
go
from the
anyway.
inn calling you, it's the alarm company
Alarm
calling you,
going off.
It's
and
not
you
going
show
off.
up and they're like, why are you here? Because they
Well,
didn't
they
call you.
most generally know why they're there.
Because the alarms go off at the facility too,
Yeah.
okay.
So
So
you
I
talked to
think-
these folks about this?
Multiple times.
Just an example, right here, the Parsons. We
It's
usually
the
go
exact
to
same
steam
one.
from the shower head.
And they moved it once.
Sensor head, right?
They moved the detector at once.
Yeah, okay.
Community?
Parsonage.
So
Okay.
I see the first step in this is that we really need to define specifically, when we send this letter, is that we need to define specifically what a false alarm is. Now, I did a quick search and I unfortunately was Security Industry Association, but I was on their site in Europe today, so I'm defaulting to the European site. But
You'll have to translate for it.
I will, what I will do is find out specifically, I have contacts at both NFPA and at the SIA, and see what their official designation of a false alarm is. And then I think we can also look at other municipalities have already crossed this bridge and defined specifically what a false alarm is. And I looked in one of my permits that I filed in another
It's not a false
jurisdiction.
alarm, it's a nuisance alarm.
Nuisance.
Right, so it would be, in the industry, we call it a false alarm. And then I'm looking at one here which brings out, there are multiple, there's multiple criteria, right? Was it an error, mistake? Was it a malfunction, intentional misuse? So I think that we need to really define that when we send a letter to, these businesses or residences that are having continued alarms, so that they understand what we're considering a false alarm, and then outlining that fee, what our fee schedule is, and that we intend to enforce it.
Okay, we're looking at, our whole ordinance talks about a nuisance incident. If you look at, I don't know what page it is, second or third page there, it does define nuisance incident. It's not really talking about a false alarm, it's talking about a repetitive situation.
I think if push comes to shove, that needs to be more specific.
Well, we can look at that, but we'd have to, if we're gonna go that route, then we need to just step back and change the ordinance.
Well, I really don't want to say false alarm because we don't want to give anybody the thought that they should not call 911 when a fire alarm goes off.
We have to understand that these
We have
people
to-
aren't physically calling.
I
The system
understand
does it
that.
automatically.
I understand that. But if it happens repeatedly as defined here, I think that's a pretty clear definition. Maybe it could be improved upon, and I think looking at things in other towns and how they do it is a really good idea. But I really want to call it a nuisance incident, not a false alarm. Because any of these systems are capable of doing false alarms. It's a question of using manpower and trucks for incidents that could be prevented, that are not being prevented. And I think we should start billing for them if they're not taken care of.
Do we do it? We don't seem to do a yearly permit fee for these?
Yearly permit fee?
Yeah.
No.
A permit fee for
the alarm
For the alarm system itself, for the fire alarm itself? I know for like your security system, you have to pay a yearly fee to the state police in order to have them respond.
No, we
I know
don't,
you have to respond to the alarm, but
we don't have any
maybe
fees.
something to talk about.
The company,
Basically, every time you get one of those alarms, you gotta consider it an active alarm. a
Absolutely.
fire.
Oh, yeah.
Until somebody gets it.
Self-certified.
So, it's taking people away. A lot of them were 15 minutes, but you got 5 guys at 15 minutes. Now you're just an hour and a half of response time.
I don't,
yeah.
I don't think the intent is to stop response. I think the
No.
intent is to try to, as what we've seen right
Fix the
here,
problem.
repeated incidents with the same
Same
reason for
outcome.
that response.
Same outcome.